Here's Martin Biron. Let's talk about some of these Eastern Conference teams. Marty, the Toronto Maple Leafs going into the Olympic break looked like a team that might actually be ready to contend. They'd won 3 straight, but then they come out of the Olympic break, they lose 2 straight. And do they even look like a team that's competing for a postseason spot right now in your eyes?
They don't. But when they were having success before the Olympic break, it was because they were playing so well defensively. They were tight. They weren't giving up chances. They weren't giving up breakaways. They were managing the puck well. All the good things, the details of the game. They come back, and against Tampa Bay, it should have been a 6 or 7-0 game. It looks good on paper. It's 4-2, but there was a couple of goals that got called back because of offside. Gensel missed a wide open net, empty net goal. It should have been 6 or 7-0. And against Florida, you're like, okay, let's come out of the blocks really strong. And what happens? You're down 3-0. You take bad penalties. You don't kill the penalty. Can't clear the puck. You turn the puck over, William Nylander, on the power play in the neutral zone. It leads to a shorthanded goal. The shots were 15-2 at one point for the Florida Panthers. And you're looking at Craig Berube and you're like, what else can he say? What else can he do to this team? They have not showed up, in emotional ways, in physical ways. It just has not been there since the break. And look, maybe in the second and third period, they figured something out. They were boring, and that's what they have to do. They have to play boring hockey right now if they want to get back in the race. The only thing boring about the Leafs right now is their execution, their effort, because it's not there. But they got to play hard and keep the games tight and play boring hockey.
So the Sens pick up at least a point on Thursday night as they continue to also try to hunt down a postseason berth. And I want to talk about Brady Tkachuk. Had to answer a whole bunch of tough questions earlier in the day. Gets into the lineup, and he just looked terrific. Do you see him carrying that Olympic success with Team USA over for the Ottawa Senators?
Yeah, I believe that a lot of those players that went to the Olympics are coming in and kind of feel like they can do even more with their teams, and I think Brady Tkachuk is one of them. And obviously, he's the emotional leader of the Ottawa Senators. And look, this team can get back in the race. I get it. They're 7 points out, and there's not a lot of games left, but there's still plenty of time to make some ground and try to get closer, and who knows what happens. But Tkachuk scores a goal, and obviously they're going to need him for his offense. And then when he got hit by Edvinsson right here, you saw the reaction. Dylan Cousins gets into a fight, right? That's your leader that got hit. Get in there. Dylan Cousins does a great job. Tkachuk gets a 10-minute misconduct, but he is trying to boost his team. And look, Detroit is a very good team, and this was a tight hockey game, 1-1. It could have gone either way. Detroit gets the extra point. But I do feel that if Travis Green and his team play the same way and follow their emotional leader, Brady Tkachuk, this Ottawa Senators is going to make it interesting. I mean, Boston, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, the Islanders, they're all there right in front of them within reach. So I think that with Tkachuk, and if he continues to lead them in a positive way with the emotions, I think it's going to be good for the Ottawa Senators.
Marty, if you do think the Sens have an opportunity to actually chase down a postseason berth, I'd assume you also think they need to add something ahead of the deadline. What would you add if you were GM Steve Staios right now?
So I think they should add, but not just looking at a rental for this year. And there's probably a few players around the league that have this year and another year on their contract. So you're thinking, let's get them for this run. And if we don't get in, we still have him next year. One guy that I look at is Dawson Mercer of the New Jersey Devils. He's still young. He scored 20 goals or more twice in his career. He's got one more year on his deal. And you could probably have him because he will be a restricted free agent after next season. You probably have him for a while. So that's a top 6 type of player that I think would fit perfectly in Ottawa. So I'm looking at a forward. And on D, maybe you add some depth. I look at a Jamie Alexiak that could fit. Big guys, got playoff experience, went to the Cup with Dallas in 2020 against Tampa Bay. And look, he's a UFA at the end of the year. So this guy is more of a rental, but I think Dawson Mercer or somebody like him would fit really well with the Ottawa Senators.
Okay, let's talk about the Montreal Canadiens. They fall in overtime to the New York Islanders. They blow a third-period lead. As great as this team has been this year, Marty, the glaring issue that everyone knows about is goaltending. They continue to rank near the bottom of the league in save percentage. If you're Kent Hughes, are you thinking of actually adding a goaltender at the deadline? Marty, it seems like they've got a lot of goaltenders.
They do. They have a lot of them. And I think you have to be careful because I don't see the Montreal Canadiens competing for a Stanley Cup this year, but you never know, right? All you got to do, get in the playoffs, get hot, you never know. But in the future, I think Jacob Fowler is going to be your guy. So do you want to go and acquire somebody that may get in the way of Jacob Fowler? I don't think so. Here's the thing with Samuel Montembeault and Jakub Dobeš. Dobeš has got great numbers this year, but he's still young, inexperienced, and it's still a question mark. Montembeault, for me, that game against the New York Islanders is a perfect example of what's been happening this season. You take a step forward one game, and then you take a couple of steps back. He was there. It's a 3-2 game. All you got to do is make a couple of saves late. He lets one in. Well, then you let another one in overtime. So, yes, I think that goaltending is probably the number one thing the Montreal Canadiens have to look at, but you don't want to block Jacob Fowler for the future. But I do believe that it may be something that the Canadiens will have to address. Maybe in just bringing in somebody, a rental for the rest of the year, and give them that chance to have some steady goaltending.
Montreal try to get back in the win column Saturday night when they host Ovi and the Capitals. The Senators will be in Toronto on Saturday night. Martin Biron, thanks for this. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to turn to Macklin Celebrini. Coming off an impressive performance at the Winter Olympics, his Sharks were hosting Nazem Kadri in the Flames.